Over 1.6 billion students globally couldn't go to schools because of the pandemic. With learning crisis already a reality in middle and low income countries, COVID worsened it to a large extent. As the pandemic struck, lockdowns were seen as a solution and everything was closed down, including schools. As schools were seen as potential hotspots and children as potential vectors, scientists advised that schools remain shut. But temporary shutdowns wouldn't just mean postponement of learning, but in many cases, a full stop to education. School shutdowns, even if they are short term shocks, could have far reaching long term impacts. For example, 17% of girls never re enrolled in schools after the Ebola epidemic in Sierra Leone. UNICEF in March 2021 estimated that over the next decade, up to 10 million more girls will be at risk of becoming child brides as a result of the pandemic. A new report published by the World Bank, UNESCO, and UNICEF made a strong argument as to why schools should remain open. It says that children from middle and low income countries, including India, were particularly badly affected by the pandemic. Even among these countries, children belonging to the poorer households and marginalized social groups would particularly face serious consequences because of education losses. Long-term school shutdowns in middle and low-income countries resulted in classrooms shifting online, but their children lacked proper devices and internet to access these online classes. There have been reports from across India where students had to travel long distances for internet connectivity. Households that had multiple children and only one smart device had to ration the usage time, meaning inevitable loss of learning. A Kerala student even killed herself because her parents couldn't afford a device for her classes. Impacts of the deepening of this existing divide are huge. Estimates say that if a class 3 student loses 1 year of schooling, it translates into a loss of 3 years worth of learning in the long run. The report estimated that this generation of school children could lose $17 trillion in lifetime earnings because of the COVID-related school closures. This adds to around 14% of today's global GDP. School shutdowns have also caused numerous other losses to students across the globe, like loss of access to school meals programs, increased teenage pregnancies, etc. The report also made some recommendations. Given the social, economic, and mental health consequences, school closures should only be viewed as a last resort to stem COVID cases. Evidence suggests that children are less likely to contract severe COVID. Even if the fear of children suffering is out of the way, teachers are still skeptical about attending physical classes. The deadly second wave saw hundreds of deaths of school teachers across Indian states, but increased vaccination rates this time could avoid such deaths. Sharp reduction in COVID transmission in schools is also observed when masks are used and proper ventilation is ensured. Therefore, it has to be ensured that children keep attending school by offering incentives and educating parents and kids. Teachers need to change their methods too. Sufficient attention should be given to the disadvantaged and marginalized children for them to get back on track. One-size-fits-all mode of teaching and learning will not work for all sections of the society. Teachers also should be assisted to help students cope with learning losses.